Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is the Vulgar Marxist. This will be the first episode in a series on the subject of why feminism cannot be socialist. And while events are moving significantly quicker than I would like, it is necessary to continue to lay out very basic concepts before we can really dig too hard into the matter. Therefore, this first video is on a subject I honestly would not consider necessary if it were not so prevalent. The idea that a speech platform can be restricted in who has access to it. Now, I am going to address this from two separate viewpoints. One from the principles of dialectics, and the second from the principle of personal versus private property. Now, before we begin, we must, of course, have some understanding of what exactly dialectics is. For that, we are going to go, unfortunately, to Wikipedia. Now, the Wikipedia definition of dialectics is merely two people having a discussion related to a particular topic they wish to understand the truth of. We won't even go into the subjectivity of truth, but in any event, two people are seeking the answer to a question. Now, because of human nature, both will be aware of some of the facts related to the question, but neither will be aware of all of the facts related to a question. The utter hubris of an individual who earnestly and deeply believes themselves to be omnipotent or omniscient is frankly too ridiculous to go into. Now, in order for them to discover the truth of the subject they are debating, it is necessary for them to compare the differentiating information that they have to reach coherent conclusions. This is, broadly speaking, why dialectics can be understood as the concept that all ideas are the combination of previous ideas. In order to create any new idea, two older ideas must be compared, synthesized, brought together, and a new idea is manifested. The idea of a steam engine is merely the ideas of mechanical energy and convection to water brought together. The idea of an automobile is merely the idea of an internal combustion engine and a wagon brought together. This is historically true of all ideas. Invariably, they were based upon previous ideas that were then combined into a new idea. However, once we realize this point, a very interesting thing occurs. If all ideas are merely the synthesis of older ideas, and in order to synthesize these ideas together, it is necessary for people to discuss them, then by definition, the location at which the discussion occurs is a means of production. Yes, you heard that correctly. Under the principles of dialectics, a speech platform is a means of production. Now, what do we know about means of production? They must be freely available to all workers, at all times, for all reasons. There is no grounds under Marxist theory to deny a worker access to their means of production. It is not allowable. Further, because all persons are equally liable, at least under Kropotkin's theory, to productive labor, all persons are workers. Thus, under the principles of dialectics, all persons must be allowed access to all speech platforms at all times. When you ask someone why they believe they are owed access to your speech platform, the only answer they need to give is, I am a worker. Of course I am entitled to access to the speech platform. I am entitled to all means of production. And again, this is no ridiculous supposition. This is merely the logical inferences of the very principles we espouse. But let us examine this from a second point. That is the concept of private versus personal property. My pants, my boots, my socks, my wallet are all personal property. I wear them, I carry them with me. Even those I do not wear can generally be understood as the possessions I myself am either using or going to make immediate use of in the reasonably near future. The truck that I drive is not my personal possession. First, I'm not the owner of the truck, though I happen to use it almost exclusively, but it is the possession of the company, and as thus it is a productive instrument, it is property, or more specifically, a means of production. Now, again, a website, a forum, or a message board cannot be understood as personal possessions. Though you may be using them at the particular time, you are not the exclusive user. In fact, it is patiently obvious from the content of any message board, dozens, if not hundreds of people are using it at any one time. Further, the rationalizations put forward by those seeking to limit access to the message board invariably support this point. They will inevitably argue that the message board is a private company, that the First Amendment does not apply to private companies. That is well and good, but the principles of socialism do apply to private companies, regardless of whether they are convenient to you or not. All means of production, all private property, not personal possession, private property, are to be made available to the workers, are to be collectivized. Thus, a message board, being private property, is to be collectivized and made available to the workers. So again, we once more reach the conclusion that under the principles of socialism, there are exactly and precisely 0 grounds to restrict access to a message board or any other speech platform, whether it is a debate stage, a public speaking area, a lawn before the Capitol, a web forum, a wall on Facebook or Twitter. There are no grounds under Marxist theory to restrict who is allowed to post there. Either we accept dialectics, and the arena itself is a means of production, or the arena, being private property, is to be socialized. The gang of shrieking Herodians now in charge of these platforms will of course deny all of this. They will blather happily about the dangers of allowing certain opinions to be expressed, completely ignoring the fact that it is not for the vanguard to decide how the workers shall use the means of production. There is no more reason to get angry at someone expressing toxic ideas on a speech platform than to get angry at a worker who has decided to use a lathe to machine a gun barrel rather than a wrench. It is for the workers to decide how the means of production are to be used, and the workers alone